I guess in my early years, I started to realise that for sparkling, you need a really cool site. And the best sparklings in the world are really coming from the cooler sites. And strangely at Broome Creek, it's a very frost-free site. We're more likely in every, say, 4 or maybe 5 years to find that the local kids have built a snowman up at the gate. Broome Creek Vineyard is a cool site. So the logic was there to begin with.
With a history spanning 47 years, Broome Creek is one of the oldest vineyards on Tasmania's east coast, crafting sparkling wines of character and endurance.
Well, Broome Creek was originally planted in the 1970s, long before my time. I was actually in the Department of Primary Industry then. But I had a bit of contact with it when I went to Marilla as General Manager in the late 1980s. Well, the vineyard's positioned due east of Hobart, so it's at the southern end of the east coast, and it's pretty much right on the coast. We're only about maybe 1 kilometre back from the sea. So fantastic views of Maria Island, Marion Bay and so on. It's a beautiful area. One of the reasons I was attracted to that site is it was, I guess in those days, fairly marginal, pre-global warming or before the real impact of global warming. It was very challenging. I loved the Riesling from there. And that was one of the things I absolutely adored from that site. But it also had small amounts of Pinot and Chardonnay, and they looked really fantastic. So of course we had perfect base for sparkling right from the beginning. The unique part of that story really is that it's such a cool site that even sparkling takes a long time to ripen. In the warmer sites, of course, you want to retain, some natural acidity. You don't want to let it get too developed. But at a site like Broome Creek, near the coast, cool, and in particular the block that it comes from is a very cool block on that site. And that means that the ripening process, even for sparkling fruit, is slow. So you get a lot of time to see the development of flavour in particular, and still stay inside the numbers that you need for sparkling. And that for me was a big attraction. And I think that's something that's going to be important in Tasmania as time goes on. We're going to be starting, I think, to look again at maybe some of the sites that we've walked past in the last, say, 15 or 20 years, thinking they're just too cool. But with the progress of global warming, things are changing quite quickly. And I reckon there's probably some sites there that we've put aside that really probably would be ideal sparkling sites now and into the future. But one of the other big impacts across that site has been the East Australian current. And that's, I'm pretty certain, is the fastest warming ocean current in the world. And in the early days when I was down there, even before I bought it and working down there, when the sea breeze came in, you had to put a jumper on. And in those days, unlike now, I was pretty fit. I was a bushwalker, sailor, etc. Now when the sea breeze comes in, over the last 5 or 6 years, I haven't even thought about a jumper because that current's probably warmed somewhere between 2 and 3 degrees C, and that just takes the edge off that breeze. We now find that in fact acids are a lot more contained than they were, say, 30 years ago. But I think the thing I really like, and I've been connected with agriculture my entire life, is the role of the seasons. Every season is different, and we learn something every season. Not often you can look back and say, well, this season is like, the season 5 years ago or 6 or 7 years ago. But there's generally a similarity somewhere. And from that in your brain comes a little story thinking, oh, okay, I remember what happened that year. We better watch out for that. Or we better be geared up and ready to go because things are going to happen very quickly. And for me, it's that agricultural role of the cycle, which is very, very important in grapes in particular because you're looking at flavour development. I guess if you're growing a field crop, potatoes, barley and so on, the seasons are very different, but the impact of grapes is even more pronounced because we're looking at flavour compounds. And I find that fascinating.